There is a bunch of drama in the indie world right now, especially on X/Twitter, that we'll go through real quick. Not going to get too deep into. Anybody that's on X or Twitter, you obviously know that the term toxic positivity has been thrown around. Basically, Twitter has split into three sections: Switzerland, and then the opposing sections, which is a mix of people talking about critique and how to critique correctly, which has always been an issue in the indie world, especially with fellow authors. Some are saying that you should be able to, from what I gathered, some are saying basically you should be able to rip someone down to build them up, which is kind of militant and also, I would say, ineffective in my opinion. And you can give whatever rating you want. Everybody's free to. That's part of the cool part about ratings and reviews. It's all personal. It is all subjective. Saw someone post earlier that it's not subjective and that art shouldn't be subjective, which is one of the craziest things that I've ever heard personally, because it is. I don't agree with toxic positivity. I understand that perspective, but personally, positivity, especially in a community, is super important. And that's not saying that you can't critique each other, but there's a way to critique each other. The term toxic positivity to me doesn't really make sense unless you're totally ignoring all of the components of writing. And if you want to, plenty of us authors, I think we DM each other, we're like, hey, you have this issue in your book. If you want to fix it, I just want to let you know. Or, hey, this doesn't make sense to me. I do it when I arc for other authors. I do it in general. Plenty of people do it to me because I also mess up. So curious to hear your take, Mike, on this toxic positivity term. I know that you avoid most of drama and you were lucky enough to not really see too much of it.
I mean, it comes down to just why be a dick when you don't have to be? What's the point? What's the point of being a dick? You can obviously correct people and do it in a nice private way. Talk to someone if they've got a lot of issues in their book or something. You can send them a DM, whatever. But why is there this huge call or this huge movement of people that are trying to get people to publicly call out other authors or other creators or whatever? It seems kind of unnecessary, I guess. I don't know. I don't know what the goal is, I guess.
I think the goal is, I think we live in an age of rage culture and everything. So online, it's like, oh, how many people can we make mad to get views? Which it does work. I don't know why or how it works. It does. But we all know, especially as authors, that the review system is totally awful, right? The 5-star system is awful. How they weight the stars is terrible. So yeah, there's the positivity in, like, if you wrote a book and it's not terribly flawed, I'm probably going to give you a 4 or a 5-star because you wrote the book. I enjoyed it. I'm also an easy reader. I enjoy everything I read. I'm very simple like that.
I was going to say, man, like, even, I'm a fan of fantasy and sci-fi. So, like, most fantasy and sci-fi books are going to be at least okay to me, unless there's something crazy egregious. And in that case, I'm going to talk to the author one-on-one. I'm not going to post something online and for everyone to see and be like, man, look how terrible this guy's book was. I mean, that seems like kind of a shitty move, right?
Right. I mean, if you have like a page of errors, like page after page, maybe that warrants something. But if you've done a whole story, there's a couple errors here and there. I'm reading the Wheel of Time. There's errors. That's trad published.
Right.
I don't see a reason to really rip someone down. And there's also, as fellows, there's always been this critique of each other, but you don't normally cross the line of attacks. Yes, it has happened in the past, happens now. But once you get personal, you're not critiquing anymore, which I think a lot of people in the community have lost that. I think a lot of people are shooting shots instead of actually just the work. They're going at the author or they're insulting the author instead of being like, hey, you messed up, or hey, this is your first book. That's okay. Like I told someone, I said, I know Tales is flawed. I wrote that in 2017, right after college. I know it's flawed.
Yeah, I mean, we're all learning, dude. Like at the end of the day, none of us is a professional author. And I mean, like you said, even professional authors make mistakes. I mean, that's just the way it is in any field.
Yeah, for sure. And I think the world we live in, I hope most of us can agree that positivity is important. Yes, you shouldn't be ultra positive where you're ignoring the negatives. I mean, in my reviews, even if I give a 5-star, I'm like, hey, I didn't like this. This didn't work for me. I arc read a book. A girl sent it to me a few months ago. I arc read it. There were pieces of it I really enjoyed, pieces of it that didn't work for me. They worked in the story though. And I know there are people that will like that. It's not that it was bad, it's that I didn't really understand or I didn't enjoy it. So I wrote
Right.
that. I said, for me, this didn't work. I don't really get it, but the story was good. It was cohesive. It made sense in the story. It's just not for me. And I think that's a part that we should all acknowledge, is being like, hey, this might not be for me. This is, this didn't work for me, but it doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that for you, it doesn't function how it does for others. And I think that's something that we should all kind of get beyond.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 100% behind that. I think it's one of those things where, like you said, there are actual structural problems when it comes to writing, like misspellings and incorrect words, things like that. But it's like when it comes down to story beats and elements, a lot of it does come down to preference. And I mean, if you're reviewing someone's work, you have to remember that you have to try to be objective. And as we all know, online, civil, objective, well thought out discourse is pretty rare.